Hello, hello, Tom 3PO here, and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And this video is going to be a little different. I'm going off the script, so to speak. I don't actually have a script. This is just going to be the version that you're going to be hearing is going to be the best one that I think I did. So bear with me. But I wanted to talk about the Halloween franchise for a little while. And if you're familiar with horror movies and you're in the know, then this might all sound like a bunch of repeated stuff, but if you don't know about horror movies, then this might be. Let me take you back to 1978. John Carpenter messed up big time. He wrote solid gold on paper and transcribed it onto the big screen with Halloween. From there, it's been a downward slope spiral, if you will, of crazy sequels, anthology, spin offs that don't include Michael Myers, um, cults, Busta Rhymes, if you can believe it, and yeah, Rob Zombie. We won't talk about Rob Zombie though. That doesn't count. Neither does Resurrection. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Anywho, um, so what we're going to be talking about, Halloween Ends is coming up, and I have mixed feelings about it. I was a big fan of Halloween 2018. I thought it was really well done. Liked the way that the story was progressed, the canceling of the previous chapters and picking up from where 1978 left off was not something that had been done before, but it was done, I thought, way better than what was done in H2O. And Halloween Kills, while that was pretty good slasher flick, I had numerous problems before the movie was even released. For starters, they showed a lot of the movie in the trailer, and I was so excited because I didn't think that the trailer was really going to spoil anything too much. Saw the trailer, was blown away. I thought, holy shit, this is going to be fucking nuts. Um, the movie premiered. I didn't go out to the theaters to see it. I watched it on Peacock, and I remember looking at my girlfriend when we were watching it. And I thought, wait a minute, that was the entire firefight scene. What? They showed it all in the trailer? Are you kidding me? And the movie was just like kind of slow paced for what it was hyped up to be. When Michael was on screen, it was a roller coaster of suspense and terror that I don't think was felt for a long time in the franchise. And then the way it ended, my biggest problem with those two movies so far is that Halloween 2018 kind of reintroduced Michael as a human being. He wasn't, the boogeyman. He was a person. Um, and while I didn't really care too much for him being unmasked for most of the film in the beginning, um, I liked the angle that they were going with, trying to make it grounded in reality, almost like a Christopher Nolan style theme, like what he does with his movies. And then Halloween Kills kind of said, you know what? Nah, we're not really sure, so we're just going to make him supernatural. Because he took so many fucking stabs, gunshots, blows to the head, body shots. I mean, at one point, Karen fucking stabbed him in the back with a pitchfork, like in his spine, and then curb stomped his head on a stair. Now, I'm sorry, but if you're shot like 5, 6 times, I know 50 Cent did it. He was shot 9 times or whatever, and still lived. But I mean, a pitchfork in the back. I mean, you got like your lungs, your spine, like you're getting down and staying down after that. I'm sorry, but because he's Michael Myers, he pulled through. He got the kills that he needed at the end, and then he suddenly appeared behind Karen, and then in like true psycho fashion, he stabbed her a bunch of times, and then the movie just ends. Now, the biggest problem with that is make up your mind. I'm confused as a viewer and as a fan. I want to try to follow you and stay with you, but if you're introducing Michael in 2018 as he's not the boogeyman, he's just a human, and then you give him all this stuff to go and like climb over obstacles to deal with the sheriff, Sartain, Lori, and most of the stuff that he got into, his wounds weren't necessarily fatal. So like you could kind of see, okay, he's pissed off, he's injured, but it's doable. But then Kills is like, we're gonna up the ante and really fuck him up, but we still want you to think that he's human. And then at the end, they slip the rug from under us and say, "Ooh, how did he get there? How could he survive all that? The more he kills, the more he transcends all that stuff." And it's kind of alarming how much of a radical shift that is between 2018 and Kills. And then with Ends, now spoilers. Okay, I don't know if this is confirmed. This is just speculation. You can hear the same theories on different channels, so this is nothing new. And I don't have any secret sources or anything like that. I'm just basically what I'm about to say has been said on other channels, but copycat or two Michael Myers or whatever they want to speculate about. I have a problem with that because as much as I love the Friday the 13th franchise, they did that already with Friday the 13th Part 5. Um, and it didn't really work well. Almost like when Halloween 3 Season of the Witch came out. That was before I was even born, I think, or maybe I was a little kid and no, I think it was before I was born. But long story short, I know the stories. When that movie came out, it didn't have Michael Myers in it, and everyone was like, "What the hell? It's a Halloween movie. How could you not have Michael Myers?" So, if that is where they're going, and believe me, I want to believe that the movie will be good. Believe me, I do, because I can forgive the overhyped Halloween Kills, and oh, man, I could go on about that movie, but I can forgive a lot of that stuff if they end the new trilogy decently. But to bring in like a copycat or even someone that's going to be somewhat, trying to pretend to be Michael Myers, I don't buy it. I don't think that it's going to play out very well. And I can just think of all the scenarios in my head on how that could play out, where it's like trying so desperately to make it work, but falling short. Now, before I get into Halloween Kills, I think it is important that we go back because this would not be the first time that the Halloween franchise has just derailed completely. You know, beautiful execution with the first one, the second one kind of So anything after that is, just it gets crazy. Hold on, bear with me. Halloween 1978. It's the perfect. I mean, I can't think of anything more iconic than Halloween. You have a group of babysitters, high school girls, and you got two of them that are, the typical, for the time, kind of rebellious, promiscuous, free spirits, and then you got Laurie Strode, who is like the pure virgin final girl material, and you got all the fixings of a slasher. You've got a mental patient that has escaped, an obsessed doctor hell bent on stopping him from going back to his hometown, where he's fearing that he's going to start killing again. And you have Michael, who is, I think, aside from Halloween 6, and maybe even Halloween 2018 in his prime, like stalking wise. And he's following his trail back to Haddonfield. And along the way, you're following Lori and her friends. And as the day goes on and school lets out, they have their first encounter with Michael. They just don't know it yet. And from then, Michael's like, okay, these are the girls I'm gonna stalk and mess with. And it's just, for what it is, it's basically affection, because you know he's there, but you don't know where he's at. He could be anywhere. And up until that night, you like the music, him hiding behind bushes, hiding behind clotheslines. You don't know what he's capable of. You have him hyped up by Dr. Loomis, and he's trying to warn everybody, but nobody believes him. So you're like, is he that crazy though? And nighttime rolls around and shit gets wild. And you realize very quickly, oh my goodness, how in the fuck is this going to play out? And it plays out like that music still. I cannot watch Halloween by myself in the dark at night because my mind just races and I start freaking myself out. That's how scary it is. And it holds up, at least for me. And like I said in the beginning, these are all my opinions. If you don't find Halloween scary, or if you think anything that I say about the other movies any differently, then just know, hey, you can have that opinion. I'm not saying what I'm saying is like gold plated, sent from God or anything like that. Um, but then you've got ultimately Halloween boils down to uh, it was originally supposed to be an anthology, spooky stories told on Halloween night. And the first one was about the boogeyman, hunting and stalking babysitters. And I imagine, at the time, that was probably very fucking scary. I imagine a lot of people from that time were babysitting who were in high school, and babysitting was probably a lot more easy to come by than it is or nowadays with smartphones and everything. So babysitters everywhere probably freaked out, especially if they had to babysit on Halloween. I mean, that just the thought of that back in that time, babysitting, that would be so scary. And to add, the possibility of the boogeyman could be out there and you just don't know. That would be fucking terrifying. And uh, the success of Halloween was so great that they wanted to make a sequel and they wanted to finish the story. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe John Carpenter was not a fan of Halloween 2. I think he like wrote the script in one night with like a 6-pack of beer or something like that. And yeah, this is where the Halloween franchise started to back themselves into a corner, in my opinion. Because once you try to explain the boogeyman, and you only have two paths, you can either humanize him or you can go the supernatural route. And they stayed with the human aspect of it. Um, but they tried to explain why he's doing what he's doing. And that is, if it's not intentional in the first act or the first film, don't ever try to do it in the subsequent films because it's just a. I mean, you'll hear about it. You'll see here in a second. So, Friday the 13th did it beautifully. At the end of the first one, um, when the last counselor is out on the boat and Jason pops out of the water, like, okay, wow, not only was his mom trying to kill everybody and she believed he was dead, but this whole time Jason's been alive. Holy fuck. So that kind of set it up. Okay, Jason can come back. And you kind of know why already he wants revenge because his mom died. And with Halloween, it was scarier not knowing. It was scarier to think of him as the boogeyman, to let us draw our own conclusions as the viewer. And so when Halloween 2 came out and they're like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this, Sam Loomis. It's his fucking sister. Oh my God. You're like, wait, what? That's his sister? Come on now. Is that the best you can do? And it doesn't help that Jamie Lee Curtis was wearing a wig for most of the film and she was in a catatonic state. She didn't really do a whole lot. And is it just me, or are hospitals in horror movies surprisingly vacant at nighttime? I've been in a few hospitals over the course of my lifespan. And sometimes at night, it's a lot busier than you might think. Now, with the exception of the final chase scene, the movie's pretty much I mean, I didn't really care for it. The final chase scene went on for a little while, and as a kid, I was scared shitless. I was on the seat of my pants, or the edge of my seat, hanging by the brim of my pants, and it was really scary because I thought for sure, oh my God, he's gonna get her, but he doesn't, of course. But it was really close. And now as an adult, when I watch it, I'm like, I could watch this at night in the dark by myself alone. It doesn't scare me that much. The mask didn't really look right. It was a different actor. All this stuff when I was a little kid, I didn't really pay close attention to. I didn't really even notice it. I was just in love, and I kind of ignored the red flags or didn't even know what red flags were when I was that young. And then for what it's worth, I actually really liked Halloween 3. It is really campy. It's more like synthy, with the soundtrack, but I really liked it for what it was, story wise. Picking up with the anthology style that John Carpenter and Deborah Hill originally intended. Um, Imagine American Horror Story, but with movies. That's basically what Halloween was supposed to be. And I thought that that story was pretty okay for the time. You know, it really wouldn't work nowadays, but um, then, oh my goodness, after the backlash of people wanting Michael Myers, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers comes out. And let me tell you, was my this was like the closest I could have gotten to like a movie that came out around the time when I was alive. And I grew up with Halloween 4 and 5. Um I mean, I grew up with all the horror movies, but Halloween 4 and 5 were like my favorite. I loved Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd and Rachel and Tina even in Halloween 5. I know that's going to cause some grief, but I actually like Tina. And Halloween 4, you are made to believe that Michael survived the explosion at the end of Halloween 2. And he's been in a coma all like 10 years or so. And he's being transferred. That should be a red flag right there. And it's close to Halloween. He's being transferred. He's been in a coma, vegetative state. You know, it's water under the bridge. Let's just get him out of here. You know, Godspeed, Spider-Man, that type of stuff. And while he's being transported, some doctors in the back of the ambulance are talking about his history and if there's any living relatives, which I don't know how they would know that unless the files were expunged or whatever, unsealed, what have you. And they mention, yeah, he's got a niece, you know, only living relative. And then that suddenly makes him wake up. And he starts a killing rampage. And Dr. Loomis, he was late for the party. He missed the transportation of Michael, so he's like freaking out. He's fucking waving his cane all over the place, and the doctors, of course, still don't believe him. And he's like, "Nah, fuck it. Michael's alive, and he's gonna start killing people. Mark my words." That was a horrible Dr. Loomis impression. I'm so sorry for that. Rest in peace, Donald Pleasance. And so Dr. Loomis starts following the trail of the ambulance, and lo and behold, there's an ambulance that's flipped over in a ravine or in like a little lake, and the bodies are dismembered, blood's everywhere. Michael's gone. He's gone from here. And he knows exactly where he's heading. And oddly enough, I mean, unless the doctors in that ambulance had the paperwork on the niece, Jamie Lloyd, how in the hell would Michael know where the hell to find her? I mean, he wouldn't even know. There had to have been files in that ambulance for him to find out where the Foster family lived. I mean, unless, oh my gosh, unless they like really were trying to subtly hint that they were psychically connected or something. I don't know, but long story short, there's, you know, recapturing Halloween 1978. There's a chase scene. And Michael looks so fucking goofy. His mask does not look right. He's a little scary though. The mask, since it doesn't look right, like it's kind of unsettling. The eyes are really fucking like almond shaped, and he's got like his collar popped up all the way, and his shoulders look really upright and stiff, and it just looks kind of menacing, but not in like a Halloween sort of sense. And yeah, it's thought that he was killed. There was a final shootout at the end with some troopers, state police, and vigilantes that weren't killed by Michael. And, you know, that was it. Bada bing, bada boom. They wipe their hands. It's done. And then you get a POV shot of a little kid who picks up some scissors and puts on a mask and then stabs the foster mom. And Dr. Loomis, Sheriff Meeker, Jamie, everybody runs to the bottom of the staircase, and Dr. Loomis starts freaking out, and you see Jamie wearing her clown costume covered in blood, and she's holding up a pair of scissors, signaling to us, the viewer, that, oh my gosh, she's going to be the next Michael Myers. And I got to tell you, before I watched Halloween 5, I do remember watching Halloween 4 and thinking, holy shit, this is going to be awesome. Like, in my mind, the thought of like a kid killer back then was like groundbreaking. I'd never seen it before, aside from Pet Sematary, but that's a little different. And I was so pumped. And then I remember renting Halloween 5 on VHS from the video store. and Michael was on the cover, and you turn the VHS cover around and you see him on there with a new mask, and you're reading it and you're like, well, no, what? He's back? What? And that's where I think the Halloween franchise started to go from being off the rails to off roading entirely. This is where shit gets really crazy. Along the lines of like, uh, no, Smith's Grove. That's the only thing I could think of. But um, so apparently Michael fell down into some hole, like a abandoned shaft of a mine or something like that, and crawled out to a nearby river. And the police threw some dynamite down there that was unseen in Halloween 4. And he escapes. And then he attacks a hermit and goes into a coma or, something. He just like drops basically. And he's out of commission for a year. 1 year later, Jamie is admitted into a psych ward. She can't talk, but she does feel a psychic connection with Michael. When Michael snaps out of whatever it is he's in, we are greeted, we are blessed. No, we are given the privilege of seeing a little thorn. Well, we don't know at the time that it's thorn, but we see a little marking, like a tattoo on Michael's wrist that we have never seen before. Ever, 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 ever. And as a kid, I'm thinking, ooh, this is okay. This is kind of weird, but what's going on with this? And as Michael's getting up, Jamie's like scribbling on something like a chalkboard, and she writes like "he's coming for me" or something like that. And Michael kills uh, the hermit that was taking care of him, which I guess was supposed to be a little different in the original cut. It was like a voodoo witch doctor or something like that. And this, aside from Tina, this list of characters is probably the weakest, aside from maybe Resurrection. And you got Michael and some other woman. I forget who she is, but they don't really play too big of a part. Dr. Loomis is also back, and holy shit, can we talk about the Michael Myers family house for a second? Because I'm sure if you are into horror movies and you love Halloween like I do, you know what I'm talking about. But the house went from like a modest 2 stories small, maybe 900 square foot house in the suburbs, like a little neighborhood, to a fucking Victorian style mansion, like with like a balcony and like everything. It was, as a kid, I was so confused because I didn't think that was the Myers house. I thought they were just making that, like the code name was the Myers house. But as I got older, I was like, holy shit, they really changed it. And it doesn't make any sense because uh, in Halloween 6, the very next film, that house is just a normal house again. And it's supposed to be in the same storyline, the same universe as Halloween 5. So, like a complete sequel to Halloween 5. So you answer how that happened, and we'll know more about the universe than we do now. But yeah, Michael Myers and Jamie Lloyd, they do share a connection. And there's a mysterious guy or a man in black who arrives in town wearing a trench coat. He's got some fancy cowboy boots on, and he's holding a briefcase. And they never interact with each other, Michael and the man in black. So you don't know if he's a good guy. He's made out to be ominous because he's wearing all black. But yeah, the ending finale is at the Myers mansion, and Dr. Loomis sets a trap for Michael. Basically, using Jamie as bait, he lures Michael back to his home and drops a chain on him, like a chain net, and shoots him with a bunch of tranquilizers and starts beating him with some wood as the cops make their way back. And it ends with Michael in a jail cell. And I got to tell you, this is the first time since maybe Halloween when we see Michael showing like human tendencies. In Halloween, he jumps on the car, and you see him as, I think her name was Nurse Chambers. I could be wrong. The girl, the nurse who was following in the car with Dr. Loomis. as she jumps out of the car and Michael jumps off the roof of the car and gets in it. He's not dressed in his jumpsuit. He doesn't have his mask yet, and you're like, okay, that looks like a guy, And then at the end of Halloween 5, Michael's sitting on his knees in a jail cell, and he's playing with the chains for his handcuffs, and you see that, and you're like, oh my god, maybe he is a human, like what in the hell? Like, how does he survive all this stuff? Getting shot with a shotgun, multiple shotguns, actually, pistol. Like, how did he do all this? And you think all is well. And then there's a huge explosion. Man in Black appears and starts shooting up the joint. Jamie goes in, and we see that Michael was basically jailbroke from Haddonfield Police Department. Halloween 6 picks up a couple years after that. I'm not sure on the specifics on how long after, but Jamie's pregnant. And this is Halloween 6. I could make a whole video on Halloween 6 with the producer's cut versus the theatrical versus the uncut. And we're just going to breeze past Halloween 6 here because there is so much to talk about. I could probably talk for over an hour, no joke, just about this movie. But this is where it gets really fucking off the walls. Beyond off-road, this is almost like you're sailing in a tsunami, because get this, there is a cult that has put a curse on Michael Myers, and he has to kill his entire bloodline to restore balance or something very similar to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, where Connell Cochran wants to rid the world of children to appease Stonehenge or something like that. I don't recall exactly in great detail what the ultimate plot for the villain was in Halloween 3, but it's something like that. And this is the first time that we're actually given, like, attempted to be given a kind of cohesive explanation as to why he's able to do what he does and not die. And for me, that's where I was like, this is crazy. But I love it, because as like, I think it was like 12, maybe. I forget how old I was, but maybe 11 or 10. I don't remember exactly back that far, but yeah, it was enjoyable to watch, but story-wise, like, it just did not make sense. Like, if I sat down one night and popped in the VHS for Halloween 4 and then put in Halloween 5 and then watched Halloween 6, I was like, what happened? But little did I know, like, behind the scenes, Mustafa Akkad and everything with like production and writing and everything, the politics behind the scenes in the movie industry is what I was not privy to. So in my mind, I'm thinking they don't know what they want to do, and I wasn't far from it. Like the Man in Black in Halloween 5, they had no idea what he was going to be used for, and it shows. It really does. And then H2O, I think they retconned Halloween 4, 5, and 6. I want to say they even retconned Halloween 2. And the reason I say that is because Michael didn't have any burns on his hands. And as you know, I think I was like close to a teenager, because I remember. No. I think I was in elementary school, because when I went to go see Halloween H2O in theaters, they were showing a trailer for Bride of Chucky, and I think I was still in elementary school when Bride of Chucky came out. But they were basically, he didn't have any burns on his hands, and I was thinking, well, that can't be Michael Myers, because Michael Myers was, burnt up. And at that time in my life, I didn't really know what continuity was. So like retconning and omitting stuff, terms like that, I didn't even know they existed. I didn't know that was a thing, because all the movies that I'd watched, like even Leprechaun, had some type of continuity. The next movie that you watched, if you didn't watch the one before it, you're not really gonna understand necessarily everything, but you'll probably still have a good time. Well, you know what? Maybe not Leprechaun, but like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, even. Necessarily a bad thing? No, but it is nice to have some type of continuity with an icon such as Michael Myers. So I can forgive that, aspect of they were just trying to stay clear of those other movies and start anew. And Halloween H2O was kind of okay. It really had a Scream-esque vibe to it, which I think one of the writers for Scream helped with H2O or something like that. Um, Look, it's like almost 11 o'clock. I don't have a script. I'm just shooting all this knowledge off the top of my head. So like I said, these are all just opinions, and if I don't know something, I will, like I am now, I will say it out loud, and if anyone wants to correct me, feel free to. But I do know someone from Scream was working on H2O. I just don't know who it was. And it almost kind of resembled like a I Know What You Did Last Summer type of movie too, because you had this fresh new cast of characters, young characters, and Jamie Lee Curtis reprises her role. Donald Pleasance unfortunately passed away at the end of Halloween 6 in real life. I think like shortly after production, he passed away, so he didn't even get to see it, I don't think. So we don't have Dr. Loomis anymore. And yeah, I'm not really going to get into H2O a whole lot either because it's probably my third or fourth least favorite Halloween. Um, the first two spots are Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2, and then Resurrection. Um, but that was more like toward the end of the Halloween's life cycle before the new sequel, Halloween 2018, came out. Um, After Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the franchise was dormant for like 10, 12 years maybe. And so basically, what I'm trying to get at is the Halloween franchise is no stranger to doing wacky and goofy stuff, and I can't fault Blumhouse if they drop the ball on Halloween Ends, because there's a few problems. One, you can't really kill off Michael Myers. I mean, you can, but they won't. And I know Mustafa Akkad had a clause where Michael cannot be killed. Like, you're not killing him. And, you know, the biggest problem I have with moving forward with the franchise in Halloween H2O, or I'm sorry, Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, Michael's like 60, almost 70. You know, like how much further can you go with this current timeline? I mean, the dude's like almost a senior citizen if he isn't already. So to believe that he could be capable of doing all the things that he does, we're already what's that called? Suspending our disbelief, I think, with him being like an old geezer, you know, lifting up firefighters with no problem, getting stabbed, getting shot multiple times and beaten up and still being able to kick it, not to mention losing some fingers from a shotgun blast. And you know, even if I don't think Blumhouse or Jason Blum is going to be involved with any future Halloween movies. But regardless, if they still stick with this timeline and Allison is going to be the new final girl, the flame, the torch, or whatever has been passed to her, like who? What are you gonna do with Michael? You know, that's the only thing I'm really concerned about, because you almost have to at that point make him supernatural. Because 10 years from now, let's say these movies still bring in some money and you know it takes a couple years for the movies to come out. So even 5 years from now, Michael will definitely be over 70, and you can only suspend your belief for so long. So I think they're going to have to probably backpedal once again, either create a new timeline or do something different. But ultimately, I mean, these are just my opinions, what I'm about to say. They might be controversial. I don't know, but they're just my opinions. Either they end the Halloween franchise or risk, you know, putting themselves in a more deeper corner by trying to make up a new timeline and, you know, a new story or something like that. Or they could make like a Lost Files-esque type movie or even like a TV show Maybe not a TV show actually, but a movie, because you have more freedom and liberties with movies than you do TV shows. Um, but like pick a timeline that you want to be in, whether it's the original 1978, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, um, or any of the other ones like Halloween 4 or 5 or whatever. Maybe do like where was Michael in between those films or something. I don't know. You can only do so much, I guess, and this is what I'm mostly afraid of with Michael Myers, is because you can't really do too much new without it being already done by another franchise, or you basically have to sell your soul and do something that is going to either backfire or put you in a deep corner when it comes to future proofing Michael Myers. Um, Friday the 13th has been in legal hell for a long time, and I really liked the remake. Um, I thought that it was pretty good. I was really hoping to see a sequel to that, but that's when all the drama started with the rights and the ownership and whatnot. And it'll probably be a little while before we get a movie, let alone like a TV show like they were talking about. But Nightmare on Elm Street, same thing. They redid it. The dude who played Rorschach in oh my gosh, what was that movie called? The Watchmen, I think, played Freddy Krueger, and it didn't really do too well. I kind of thought it was okay. I went into it knowing that no one can replace Robert England, and you know, for what it was, I thought it was okay. It didn't blow my mind, didn't make me want to see a sequel, which I guess is a good thing because we know how that played out. But Halloween holds a special place with me because it's Michael Myers. You know, like you can't really mess up Michael Myers too much. He's the boogeyman. He's a jumpsuit, a mask, doesn't say anything. He stalks, he kills, and nobody wins. Either someone loses all their friends or they end up dying. And whoever lost all their friends tries to kill Michael and he escapes. Either because he's supernatural or human, that's kind of left up to us for the most part. But I think that him being human or not doesn't really matter. I think just the idea of him is what makes him scary. But when you try to explain why he does what he does, or dance between, oh, he's supernatural or is he human? Ooh, we don't know. It kind of gets old, I guess. Um, there's not a whole lot that they could do with Halloween Ends that'll completely piss me off. But I don't know. I mean, the whole copycat thing sounds like it could be a disastrous move. And I know I'm not a writer. I don't, write movies for Hollywood or anything like that. I've never done that in my life, so I don't know the first thing that goes into it. And, like I said, there still might be behind the scenes politics with the script or with what they can and cannot do with Michael. Maybe someone else is pulling the strings and they're like, "No, we want this to happen. Fit it into your script." I don't know. And I'm not saying that that is happening now or that it has happened in the past. I'm just saying I only know what I know, and I don't have any inside sources, so there's only so many explanations for what could be going on. So with that all out of the way, um, I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not I want to hold out any hope for the Halloween franchise. I guess we'll see with Halloween Ends what they do with it. It would be really cool if they just ended it and, kind of left it like ambiguous as to whether Michael was dead, I guess. So that way, they can be free of any legal hassles and move on to make something different without, sticking with this universe. Because, I mean, Halloween Kills was really good, but the ending was just like, where are they going to go from here? You know? So we'll see. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for my little rant. I just the news of the Halloween copycat, Michael Myers copycat, was coming out, and nothing's really official yet. But chances are pretty good that there might be somewhat of a copycat Roman Haddonfield, And I want to comment on these other channels so bad, but I feel like what I have to say just can't be put into words in a comment section. You know, I know basically what I'm doing is one long video comment, but and I'm not saying anything bad about people who report on these channels. I won't say them by name. Uh, but I mean, there's heavy hitters. You know, the three people that I can think of, the three channels I should say that I can think of. They've been around for a really long time, and I really enjoy their content, and I go to them for all my horror movie news. So if they're kind of saying all the same thing about the possibility of a copycat being involved, then I kind of, worry a little bit because, okay, this could actually happen and I don't want it to happen because I'm so over thinking about how they could possibly mess up Halloween Ends. And that would be probably the only thing I could think of aside from being full blown supernatural. And a copycat came out of left field. So when I heard that and then more people started reporting on it, I thought, oh my goodness, this is not good. Like, I got to say something. I just felt compelled to make this video. And, I don't see myself doing this probably anymore. I could go on. I could talk about horror movies for so long, but there are a lot of other great channels out there that do this. Critical Overlord. We watched a movie, Jimmy Champagne, Behind the Mask. They're the people who do this, and they're really good at it. I just felt like ranting, and I've never done this before, so you'll probably be able to tell this video is just one long recording. See, I just did it right there. And I probably won't edit that out. This is just one take. But what are we at? 42 minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if you guys didn't stick around, because if you're into horror movies, yeah, you probably already know all the stuff that I just talked about. And if you aren't into horror movies, I suggest definitely checking out those other guys, because they've got so many videos, so many commentary videos, and just really well done content. I just really wanted to voice my opinion out there real quick, get it off my chest, because I knew if I didn't, I was just going to be biting my fingernails as more videos would come out. I would just feel so compelled to say something. It would, yeah, I do feel better. So yeah, thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. So yeah, if you're excited for Halloween Ends, definitely let me know what you're excited for. If you're not into horror movies, that's fine too. You could always, watch something else, I guess. But that's going to do it for tonight's video. I really appreciate you sticking around and listening to this little rant. And I hope that if you didn't know anything about the Halloween franchise, maybe I was able to teach you a little something. Definitely check the Halloween series out. It's a really good one. If you're into horror movies. If not, it's probably not your cup of tea, but what do I know? I'm 3PO. All right, everybody. That's going to be it for tonight. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching. As always, if you enjoy my other content, gameplay videos, stick around, because another one's going to be dropping within the next couple of days. And if you do by chance like this style of video where I just talk and rant about horror movies, let me know. I mean, I don't really want to try to be another channel, because there's so many other good channels out there that do this, but I could probably do this like maybe once a month. I just pick a movie franchise or a specific horror movie and just talk about it for about an hour. Yeah, if you feel like that would be something you'd be interested in listening to, just let me know in the comments. And this has been Tom 3PO. You take care.